So let's move on to looking at some of our sample essays now. So here are some ideas that we can use in order to look at critiquing some of the essays you're going to look at today. So with the following essays, we can discuss how successful you think they are based on the following. How focused is the essay? How about the essay's organization and its structure? What about its tone and register? How about its lexical complexion? Does it involve a lot of different lexical combinations? Is the person's grammar and vocabulary incredibly good? And also about the word count overall. So these are things that you're going to think about regarding your own essay whenever you're writing it, so that can be marked appropriately on the actual day. So here's an example to the PTE writing test that we have done. It has 3 paragraphs, as we can see. I'm going to read it, and I just want you to read along with me. In my opinion, placing advertisement is a good way for public schools to increase their funding for the additional needs. Though there are some bad effects in this method, yet I think it has more advantages, and the school can carry out some actions to avoid the bad effects of this method. Advertisement can bring many different informations to the school children. Since the schools can only bring limited informations about the word, advertisement can be another medium for the children to know more about the world. Advertisement can bring informations about countries, new friends, and interesting for the school children in the world. School gets money from advertisings. If they need money since to build or make new building or more computer or equipment, they can make event or ask help in advertisement. Some people not happy advertisement ask some things, especially the money. Some advertisings are bad, like expensive mobile phones. They make people to feel bad. Also, alcohol not good to and not appropriate. Schools can stop the advertisements which will have bad impact on children from putting in the schools. In my opinion, depends the topic. Schools can decide the topic and take an action to never do it. Now, as I was reading that there, I was struggling to read it because unfortunately this answer is just not very good. There are lots of mistakes overall. Let's see what's not so great about it. There are overuse of general statements, as you can see at the very beginning and in the conclusion. We have "in my opinion." It's been used twice in this essay. You don't need to use general statements like "in my opinion." You should be focused more so on your own response and not using these. There's very little paraphrasing and also very little variety in vocabulary. They've used the word advertisement many times. You can think of different ways we can use the word advertisement, such as commercial would be a different way that we can think about it. Also, the word has been used out of context several times. The essay title and question has not really been paraphrased. We should think in ways that we can reword the topic sentence in our essay prompt into our own topic sentences in the essay itself, as well as part of the paragraphs. So there's been none of that done, as well as a very small variety in the vocabulary. There are various spelling mistakes. As we can see here, they have misspelled equipment without a U, they have misspelled alcohol without an O, and they have misspelled topic here with TPOIC. And these things can easily be remedied with a review, but unfortunately these have not been done. There are many subject-verb agreement errors. Advertisement can bring many different informations. If they need money since to build or make new building, some people not happy advertisement, etc., etc. A lot of these words unfortunately have been used out of context in terms of their subject and verb agreement situations, and they're going to lose many marks for this. Okay. Unfortunately, there's also many word form errors too, as I have mentioned, and these things need to be focused on as well. It is under length at 205 words, so unfortunately they have only written 205 words. While they're not going to lose marks for this because they still have came into the necessary parameters, unfortunately it's a little bit short, which means they could have used some more of these words to flesh out their argument a bit more and probably come more so within the 300 word mark. Our second essay today is as follows. Some people think placing advertisements in schools is a great resource for public schools and need additionally funding. However, others think it exploits children by treating them as a captive audience for corporate sponsors. In my opinion, advertisements should not be placed in schools on the purpose of Racing Fund. Schools are different places with other organizations in the society. It is the place where children receive education. Most of them are like naive, blank slate compared with adults. Kids get the knowledge of maths, English, science, etc. Placing advertisement in schools will distract those kids who don't have controlling power on themselves. Clean and clear places should be protected in order to guarantee a better education quality in schools and healthy growth of the students. I remember when I was in primary school, some advertisements of food were put in our school. Every day, some kids just watched the advertisements and discussed with fellow classmates which kind of food was better. They did not focus on their studies. After they went back home, they just cried for the food from their parents. Later, the advertisements were cancelled. In conclusion, schools are quiet and non-profitable organizations where children got their education. Advertisements should be banned from the schools. We should ensure a good and quiet place for kids to study. So what do we think about this essay? Is it better than the previous one? Yes. Is it great? Still not great. But there are some things that have improved in the previous essay. But let's look now on a bit more about what could be done to improve this response. Unfortunately, this essay still uses general statements such as some people think, and in my opinion, try to avoid these. As I said, focus in on what the essay is asking and think about your own unique response to it overall. Of course, there are some spelling errors, like many essays are, or many essays have overall. Let's see if I can find some here. Racing Fund, so Rasing. There should in fact be an I in that, as well as a few others throughout the essay, but not as many as the previous one. But still, these are very easily corrected in the review. There's a use of personal pronouns. We have I and we have they. We should try avoid using these pronouns and instead focus on what the word actually is and finding a way to paraphrase that word rather than using these pronouns, because using them is not proper academic register. The response is a bit too personal and doesn't consider the wider topic in a more discursive manner. So even though it's a very good idea to use your own personal viewpoints and examples in this essay, it's a good idea to see how we can think about the topic in general in a wider aspect, and include some of those examples. They could be from your readings, they could be from the internet, they could be from websites, etc. as well. So please include a mix of personal examples and the wider examples in your essay so that the focus remains a bit wider in terms of the examples that you are using. There's also a lack of transition words in junction and conjunctions. They haven't used words like but, and, in addition, nevertheless, firstly, secondly, consequentially, etc., etc. Using these conjunctions, which we showed on the previous couple of slideshows ago, can actually increase your mark if they're used accurately. So it's a good idea to learn how these words are used and incorporate them into your own essay. Once again, this essay is not under length per se in terms of you'll be penalized for it, but it comes in at only 219 words. Remember, the word limit is 300 words. So writing an extra 80 words would actually allow you to develop your argument a bit more. So try and keep your words 250 words and above if possible. Let's look at our final sample essay today. I'm going to read. Once again, you can read along with me, but feel free to do it in your own time. Whilst public schools are largely underfunded, advertisements in schools can often condition children to grow up with certain superficial values. Often public schools have extremely intelligent students who cannot afford to attend a better funded school due to family circumstances. Although it could be argued that such a great mind could be better utilized and developed in a better funded school with more opportunities available, advertisements may hinder the growth and negatively impact the child. The minds of children are easily molded and influenced, especially when the context of the school environment where learning is enhanced. Advertisements encourage consumerism, superficiality, and can often condition a brain against independent thought. I believe that advertisements only show what is in vogue, which would discourage individual expression, whether it be through clothes, hairstyles, or tastes. As it is, school playgrounds are highly complex social environments where segregation frequently occurs and many students are ostracized and teased. Displaying advertisements at school would only reinforce what society deems as acceptable and would further isolate any students who felt different to their peers. Furthermore, advertisements encourage consumerism and make impressionable students want to spend money on expensive things to validate themselves and fit in with their peers. Schools can often be a very difficult and consuming time as students are growing up and learning more about themselves. The fewer expectations placed in them, particularly from society through advertisements, allows them to grow into more confident adults who are comfortable with themselves, can accept themselves, and have the right values. So, what do you think about this response? Is it better or worse? It is much better. It's a very, very good response. But what makes it so good? It fully developed the question and the arguments. You notice that they have not simply focused on their own individual ideas and examples. They have incorporated into the wider general debate, but also kept it focused on the idea. They have a great introduction. They have a large main body filled with many examples, as well as a conclusion, which has summarized the main argument very, very well. It's well structured with introduction, main body, and conclusion of appropriate lengths, as I mentioned. It's also an appropriate length of 253 words. So they've used the extra 50 words compared to the previous two examples to flesh out their argument a bit more. So you're looking for around 250 words up to be the sweet spot in this essay in terms of the content length. Overall, it's fantastically written and it shows great linguistic ability in English. Many complex sentences which are used flawlessly. There are many cases of paraphrased words, very few subject-verb error issues, no spelling issues, and punctuation has been used very well as an example. So if you're looking for the style of a written response, which would be of a very high standard, then please refer to this example here in terms of its the content of it as well as its structure, because this is something that hopefully you will be aiming to write in your own essay.